Hi everyone, welcome to the first ever live Q&A with me, Winslow Dixon. I think we promoted this yesterday, so if anybody had any questions regarding holistic health and nutrition, I posted my bio so you guys could figure out a little bit about me. So I'm going to be live here for 30 minutes if anybody has any questions. So while we wait on the questions, let me just give you a little bit about my background. My education first came from Piedmont International University. So I studied early childhood and elementary education, and I taught for 1 year. And I realized that that wasn't really my calling or my thing. So I then went into the medical field, became a medical tech, and worked in geriatrics, which is old people. So I then became a dementia practitioner and worked with Alzheimer's and memory care, and that's very close to my heart. And then my own health started to fail. I started to have a lot of random symptoms and a lot of issues, which ended up being from a congenital kidney disorder. And because of all the stress on my body, I developed adrenal failure, which is Addison's disease. So I'm very passionate about adrenal fatigue and health and just being healthy. And so because of that, I wanted to get better. So I discovered holistic health and things that help me. So I furthered my education and went into that. So I'm here to help anybody that needs some advice on holistic remedies or diet protocols. I personally believe that the combination of modern medicine and holistic health is the best way to achieve a vital life. I've had to rebuild my own health many times. I was at the point where I couldn't even put a pair of pants on myself and struggled with weight and struggled with pain and a lot of different things. So I'm here to answer anybody's questions if they have any. I see Kate is watching. Hi, Kate. I didn't know if there was any questions that you had. I guess it comes up if... Don't do that. I'm not very good with technology. But I'm here for 30 minutes to just kind of talk about things. So what mainly helped me try to figure all this puzzle out is track your symptoms. Ever fight? Okay, so I have a question. Do you ever fight depression? I will tell you that with any health issue, anybody that has any chronic issues, I think we all fight depression at some point. I think there are a lot of environmental factors that can affect that. Of course, circumstantially, if you're young or even if you're an older person and you can't do what you want to do, that's going to affect you mentally. I've never been diagnosed with depression, but the things that helped me the most is just, I think you have to really explore why you're depressed. Is it circumstantial? Is it the people that you're around? Is there a chemical imbalance there? There are some people that are genetically predisposed to depression. So there are many tests that any holistic practitioner or a primary care physician can order for you. Your serotonin levels, your GABA levels, things like that. Because if you don't have enough serotonin, you're gonna fight depression. You're gonna have that. So my recommendation is get those neurotransmitters tested. Holistic practitioners can do it, and your primary care physician can do it. There are definitely some natural supplements that can help depression. And I'm not a doctor, so I can't sit here and say, take this, take that. But I know that for me, a lot of things that I've had to do for my own mental sanity is affirmations and making sure you're around the right people. If you're around people that are going to put you down, that's going to add to anybody's depression. So surround yourself with the right people, and also make sure that your inner voice isn't the darkest one. That's something that I had to really rein in myself. I know that before I was in medical school and I was doing all these things and I was working, and then when I got really, really sick, I had to be in bed all day. And I was my biggest critic. I was beating myself up every day going, well, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And you need to find that your inner voice is a comforting voice. You have to be your own friend. So my recommendation for depression is get tested. see what's really causing the depression. Is it circumstantial? Is it a chemical imbalance? SSRIs and other medications are out there, such as Lexapro and stuff like that, that can help you if it is a chemical imbalance. If it's not, if it's circumstantial, get around some better people. And that sounds so simple, but for the longest time, I listened to the wrong voices, and I was just so depressed. And then I thought, why am I doing this to myself? So thank you for that question. So yeah, that's my take on that. I do hope that you find some relief with that. Being your own friend is the best advice I have as far as, my mental sanity. Because, it's, you spend all your time with you, obviously, and that sounds crazy, but you don't think about it that way. But you have to be your own friend. So that's my advice on that. You're welcome. So I also wanted to talk today about some different diets and things like that, because I know that I have struggled with my weight. I've been very vocal about that on this site, because I feel like when people look at you, we talk about invisible illnesses and we talk about our health and what people see and what they don't see. Prior to my diagnosis of Addison's disease, I was 87 pounds at 5'4". And I was very small and very malnourished and very, very sick. And my BMI wasn't good. I was too underweight. Fast forward a couple years later, I've been on chronic steroid therapy, and I'm on steroids for life. That's what cortisol is. That's what Addison's disease, the treatment is lifelong steroid. So I had surgery and then ended up being bedridden for about a year. And my weight went up. Oh, it went up. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm a little fat. It was like, oh my goodness, there is so much weight on me right now. None of my stuff fit. And I worked in geriatrics at the time, and I had one of these ladies come up to me and say, she was a Cuban lady, and she said, Wiesel, you are so bonita. Now you're so big. You need to stop eat. And it broke my heart, because I was eating as crazy as, strict as I could. And these medications were just putting the weight on me. And then after my surgery, I couldn't exercise or anything, and I was just stuck. And so I wanted to share some diet tips with you guys. I've been on every diet that you can think of. I have been gluten-free for 10 years, and I will honestly recommend anybody that has a chronic illness go gluten-free. And I don't say that because, I'm on the bandwagon of the popular trend, but I don't have celiac disease. My brother does, actually, so I'm familiar with it. But it cuts down on the autoimmune processes, and most of our pain and most of our issues come from inflammation. So once you cut that down, it helps you a lot. So anybody that is struggling with their level of health, I do recommend going gluten-free. I'll tell you that the first 90 days is hell in a handbasket. You detox, you don't feel good, you smell funny. I smelled weird. And I'm not even gonna try to deny that, but your body's detoxing. It's getting all those chemicals out. And everybody thinks that gluten-free is this new fad. Well, actually, 100 years ago, food was gluten-free. You went out to the garden, you picked out a tomato, you ate it. Wheat didn't have all this preservative stuff. They didn't keep bread on the shelves for 6 and 8 weeks. It was local farmers, local markets. 100, 200 years ago, everything was gluten-free. So don't let somebody try to tell you, oh, gluten-free is a fad or whatever. That's not the case. They have put all these chemicals and all this junk in our food to preserve it. I mean, it's a money game. So they're throwing all this stuff in our food, and that's why I personally believe that food allergies in children have gone up, because they're being exposed to all these toxicities that we weren't as children. I'm not that old, but, I'm close to 30 now. And we didn't have all this preservative junk that we do now. So that is my recommendation to anyone as far as diet goes with chronic illness. Go gluten-free. Try it. Try it for 90 days. If you don't feel better, I'll be very surprised. I know that I had severe acid reflux before I went gluten-free, and I don't have it anymore at all. I was on Nexium twice a day, and I haven't been on Nexium for almost 10 years now. So I do recommend that. I was dairy free as well. If you have any asthmatic issues, if you have any mucosa, that sort of a thing, dairy is going to exacerbate that. Allergies and that stuff gets irritated by milk and dairy and cheese. I was dairy free for a number of years, and then I found out that one of my medications has dairy in it's lactose as an ingredient. So I was taking dairy 5 times a day. Here I think I've been dairy free for so many years. So funny story, I called my friend and was like, will you get me some macaroni and cheese? Because I've been eating dairy and didn't even know it. But that's another recommendation that I have. If you have, if your asthma's uncontrolled, stuff like that, if you have severe allergies, try going dairy free as well. My current diet that I do that I feel the best on is the ketogenic diet. I do feel better on protein. I do a lot of omega-3s, which are things like salmon and eggs. I feel the best on that. I did the Hallelujah diet previously, which is a plant-based diet. It's a vegetarian diet. It's mainly nuts and seeds and greens. It's a good diet. It's the anti-cancer diet. So if you have a cancer diagnosis, that is definitely something that can help you, which I hope nobody here has cancer, and if you do, I'm so sorry. And I hate that anybody has any illness, but I know that cancer is especially scary. But anyways, so you guys can't hear me. I am so sorry. Maybe I'll talk a little louder, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling. I'm just trying to explain all these things in my brain. But anyways, so I do the ketogenic diet, if I can talk. But omega-3s are very beneficial. I don't know if anybody here has the diagnoses of adrenal fatigue or adrenal issues, but some of us just require higher protein than others. If you're on steroids at all, such as prednisone, dexamethasone, I know a lot of people that have arthritis are on that. The high dose of steroid requires a high protein diet because of the way that glucose and things are processed in the body when you're on steroids. So be very, very careful with your diet if you are on steroids. I learned that the hard way. You're predisposed to diabetes already because cortisol and insulin are not friends, and if you mess one up, you mess the other up, and it's a fun game. So but anyway, so that's my advice on as far as diets go. So what else was I going to talk about? Oh, another thing that I feel like everybody with a chronic illness needs to do that I didn't do and I wish I did is learn how to hydrate properly. I have this little thing with me at all times, no matter where I go. Hydration is something that I totally missed, which doesn't make sense to me because it's so simple, but I would work and just not think about it and ended up being dehydrated. And when your cells aren't hydrated enough, when you don't have enough in your extracellular matrix, you're gonna be tired. You're gonna pull from your energy sources, and it's gonna tax your body. Drinking the appropriate amount of water in a day does wonders for me, and you wouldn't think something so simple would affect it, but it actually does. The way to tell if you're really dehydrated is if you look at your skin. Is your skin dry? Is your eyes dry? Is your face dry? Your body will tell you what it needs. You just have to kind of listen to it. So I do recommend, the national standard I think is 8 to 12 glasses of 8 ounces of water a day. I actually do close to double that. I have a kidney disorder too, so you will be able to, 67 ounces a day. Yeah, exactly. I'm very, very much aware of my hydration now. And I wish that I would have always been, because, when you have declines in your own health, you have to look around and go, well, how did I get here? What am I doing? And I so wish that I would have assessed little things like that. Another simple thing that is common sense that I wasn't smart enough to figure out is sleep. I was one of these people that was one of these type A personalities, and if I was tired, I would just push through it, and I would work my 2 jobs and then, do school, and then when I got home, I would do my housework and cook my food, and I would get 4 to 5 hours a night on a good night and get up early and do it all over again. Now, 'tis not the case, because I have learned that if you don't listen to your body when it's whispering, you'll have to hear it scream. And I heard my body scream, and now I've had to learn the lesson that if I'm tired, I have to lay down. Because if you don't lay down, you will fall down. And it might not happen overnight. It might not happen in a month. But if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else is going to take care of you. Nobody else in this world is going to take care of you. Not like you would. And nobody knows your true exhaustion. Nobody knows the amount of effort that it takes you to do, different things. Now, if I shower, I have to lay down for a little bit after I shower. Does that make me lazy? No. That just makes it to where I have to function. That's what I have to do now. The greatest advice that I ever heard was no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain it to anybody. You don't have to explain anything. You have to do what's right for you. And I'm not saying that to be ugly and selfish. I'm not saying go around and be a queen bee, which I know I'm guilty of sometimes. You can ask my friends. I could be a total brat. But you have to be your own advocate. And if you need to lay down, if you don't feel like doing something, no is a complete sentence. Because you're the only person that's in your skin, and you're the only person that's in your body. And so if you don't feel good and you push yourself to do something, who's going to pay for that at the end of the day? Not those other people, you. So if you're tired, pace yourself. Lay down. If you can't rest at the moment, try to, do the best that you can. If you're at work and you're really tired, maybe see if you can do that task or whatever sitting down. Maybe delegate some help. I don't know what kind of work everybody does. I worked in geriatrics, like I said, and I gave medication to Alzheimer's patients, and that was my job. I took care of the elderly, and there were times where I would get so exhausted I would have to just, take a minute, sit down, and whatever. That's a lesson that I learned later on in life. People that truly care for you and people that are good-hearted people will recognize if you need help. There is zero shame in asking for help. I thought there was, which I regret now, because I feel like had I not pushed myself, maybe I wouldn't have developed adrenal failure. Maybe when I had a kidney stone, I should have stayed home. I should have rested. I should have drank enough water. I should have done what I was supposed to do. Self-care is not selfish. And that is something that I really want all of us in this community to recognize, is that self-care is not selfish. It's not. It's necessary. And especially for those of us that have chronic issues. This is our life. This is our existence. It's a little more difficult than most people. People might not understand that, and that's okay. You're not here to please anybody. You were not put on this earth to make anybody else approve of you. And if they don't, then that's their problem, because they haven't walked the same road that you've walked. And I really hope that I would not wish some of the experiences that I have gone through on anybody, because I don't want anybody to have kidney stones. I don't want anybody to be so weak that they can't lift their head up. I don't want anybody to have to rely on somebody else to eat or, but that's some people's reality. And some people haven't been there. Some people have had this rosy, peachy experience in life, and they don't understand the depth of pain and darkness or sadness or whatever that you have. It's not your job to make them understand, because they don't have to. This is your life. So basically, my advice is take care of you. Hydrate. Eat the right things. Another thing that I'll recommend to everybody in this community is please, please, please keep a journal. Keep a journal. Keep a journal. Keep a journal. And I say that because let's say you're having some health issues, some extra health issues. Like, I'll give you an example of, for me, I'm on chronic steroid use. With steroids, you go up and down on them. With Addison's disease, if you have stressful experiences or you get sick or something, you have to updose, which basically means you have to take, if you normally take, let's say 20 milligrams a day, if you're sick, you have to double it. because it's putting stress on your body. So when you go down, up and down off the medicine, you might feel differently. Food might affect you, but I keep a journal so I know, okay, I'm feeling worse because I did this. It's a way to put puzzle pieces together, because you might not realize, okay, I had to double my steroids. Maybe that's why I'm retaining water. Maybe that's why I have a headache. Maybe that's why I'm, my hair fell out or something like that, which has happened to me before and I didn't like it. So, but I knew why. And when you find the root source of something, you can fix it. And that is the key into holistic health that I appreciate, that I don't feel like is in modern medicine. And I'm not saying everyone, and I do believe modern medicine has a place, but I am all for root causes. I am all for trying to figure out why this is happening. Why? Okay, so you want me on steroids. Okay, that's a pharmaceutical. Why? Is there a way we can fix this? Is there a natural remedy? Sometimes there's not. There's not a non-pharmaceutical replacement for cortisol. But there are other adrenal adaptogens such as ashwagandha and milk thistle and things like that that can help you. So there are always options that you have to look for. So if you have a journal, you can figure out those puzzle pieces. What causes my blood pressure to go up? What causes my blood pressure to go down? What gives me headaches? What makes me tired? What helps me? What do I feel the best on? It's basically just your own puzzle piece. It's your map. It's your map to your health. And if you don't have a map, you're not going to know where to go. And so you go to a doctor and they see you for 15 minutes and they're like, oh, well, and you tell them your symptoms and they don't know. I mean, they see you for 15 minutes and then they give you something and then you see them in 3 months. Really, your health is in your hands. And, physicians and holistic practitioners like me are tools, but ultimately it's you that has to control your health today. So I really hope you guys can find some relief and figure things out. And I'm so sorry that everybody has to battle with chronic illnesses, but that's why we're all here in this community. That's why we're here to help each other. If you would have told me that I would be where I'm at 25 years old, I would have probably given up. But I'm thankful that there are people around me and a community like this that we're here for one another. So my advice today is just, let me recap of what I've said. Be your own advocate. Always, always, always. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain to anybody. Hydrate, 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 hydrate. Really. And I say that not flippantly because it helped me a lot. Keep your journals. Figure out what you're eating. Are you sleeping? Are you doing the right things? Basically, your health is in your hands. Find you a good physician. There are a bunch of crappy ones out there, and I'm not for doctor bashing, but I have definitely had some that were very ugly to me and that didn't understand. And then I've had some that are so amazing and so compassionate. They're out there. And I know that there's this cliche about doctor shopping, but not everybody is a fit for everyone. Physicians and stuff like that, everybody's got different personalities and everybody's got different beliefs and everybody has a different background. So if you're not clicking with your physician, give them the boot. That's a Southern saying. I'm from the South, so I'm allowed to say that, I guess. But my first endocrinologist, I didn't like, so I fired her because she looked at me after I had gone through so much, after I'd gone through my surgery, and she looked at me and she went, look how bad you look. Look what you've done. And it shattered me. And I thought, so help me, if I'm ever in her position, I hope she never has to go through what I've been through, because I would never say that to somebody, not in a million years. It's like she didn't have any compassion. I looked in the mirror. I know my scars. I know everything that's wrong with me, but I also know that it's not my fault, and our illnesses aren't our fault. So if you're not zenning with a physician, let them go. There are many of them out there. If you're in Florida, I can tell you who to avoid and who to go see. I'm not going to name any names, but if you message me, I can tell you who not to go see. I'm also from North Carolina too, so I can tell you who to avoid there. Just kidding. But I hope that everybody has gotten something from this. Not sure what time it is. I promised to stay on for 30 minutes, so I don't see any more questions. Does anybody have any comments or questions? I've got 5 more minutes. I'm seeing some comments here. Oh, thank you. But anyways, our other group that we have started is called Your Healing Journey, and it's basically a smaller group that is focused on holistic health. We talk about things such as essential oils, vitamin supplementation, being labeled a doctor shopper. Gotcha. I have personally been labeled a doctor shopper. Before I moved to Florida, I was in North Carolina, and I knew something was wrong with me. I started having kidney stones at age 15, and I had chronic UTIs from it. And of course, you go to the ED, and they are ugly and just awful to you. Because I was a young girl, so automatically, what do they assume? They assume I'm promiscuous. I was not. I was a Baptist pastor's daughter, and I didn't so much as look at a boy. And I would repeatedly go to the emergency room with these kidney pains and infections, and they would always be just very ugly to me. So it took 7 years for me to get diagnosed with Addison's disease, which is life-threatening, and I had to just about die for it to be diagnosed. I mean, Addison's is diagnosed when 90% of the adrenal cortex is destroyed. So my comment to that is be a doctor shopper. Good. Because I don't know why there's a stigma about it. Because anything else, if you go buy a car, they tell you, go look at multiple places. Go look at multiple cars. Don't settle. Be choosy. So why is it different with doctors? That's so stupid to me. I mean, that's just the dumbest thing in the world. If somebody doesn't zen with you, then they're not your person. They're not your doctor. And that's fine. Because we're all different. It's just like our personalities. My first endocrinologist, like I said, she's about this big. She's from Spain, and she doesn't have the compassion of anything. And none of the other doctors at that hospital like her. And that's not my fault. That's her fault. And I would not badmouth her. I would not say her name, but I'm not her patient anymore. That's your right. So be a doctor shopper. I think that's being a wise person. No, I'm not saying go and try to get, X, Y, and Z pills and sell them on the street. That's a different thing. But the lines shouldn't be blurred at this point. I mean, if somebody's not zenning with you, let them go. I see another comment here about Sjögren's syndrome. Getting a diagnosis is horrible. Oh, and don't even get me started on the insurance companies. There's so much greed, and that is what's wrong. And everybody's talking about this Trump care, Obamacare, whatever care. Nobody cares, and that's the problem, is that these insurance companies are all out for greed, and the hospitals are just as greedy. I mean, you go to the emergency room, and they give you a shot of saline. Okay, saline costs 10 cents. Like a whole bottle of it's like, what, $3? They charge you $100 for a saline shot in the emergency room. Why? Because it's greed. And they know that you're in a position where you need help. It's an emergency room, so you're going to take it, and you're going to do it. And you're not going to refuse anything. So I think the healthcare system, I don't care if it's Trump care, Obamacare, who care, whatever, Dr. Seuss care, don't care. Nobody cares. If they would cut out the greed and the insurance companies actually look at, okay, this person needs this person needs this, let's approve this, let's do this. I'll give you an example. I'm currently trying to get on a cortisol pump, which is a diabetic pump filled with cortisol. Same thing as a diabetic, but because Addison's is so rare, it's off-label use. We're having to fight the insurance companies in order to get this approved. Now, why? It's a treatment. It's been proven. I can't because of greed. I'll give you another example. I went to the hospital and had to have a catheterization. They charged me $300 to be cathed. Okay, a catheter costs probably $10 at the most. I mean, it's literally like a plastic tube. And the nurse did it in all 3 seconds. $300. And I saw that on my insurance bill. I have to pay that. It's ridiculous. So I fully understand the battle with the insurance companies. I've called my senators. I'm one of these ranters and ravers that probably shouldn't be, but you know, whatever. My recommendation is call your senators. Just bark at them. I bark at mine all the time. I am on the horn all the time. I write letters. I'm annoying as crap. Our voices need to be heard. We deserve better than this. There's no sense in it. There's no sense in it. We absolutely deserve better than this. And like I said, everybody's on this whole Trump care, Obamacare. I don't care whose name is on it. Just fix it. Just fix it. Make things better. Make things affordable so people don't have to pay $10 million for insurance. I know that when I worked, it was literally like half of my paycheck because I had to have a higher plan. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So call your senators, rant and rave as much as you can, because that's the only way that our voices are going to get heard. Because they're sitting up there in Capitol Hill with their big salaries and their nice suits, and they're sitting there comfortably. They're not in pain. They don't care about us. We are the silent voices, and that's got to stop. So help me, if I ever get to a point in life where my voice will be heard, I'm not going to shut up, because we deserve better than that. So thank you for that question. But I guess it's 3:30, so I guess I'll be quiet now. But thank you for everybody that tuned in. I am one of the admins of Spoonies for Life and the Unchargeables, and also the Holistic Your Healing Journey group. So if you want to add that, feel free to message any questions. My website is winslowedixon.wordpress.com. So if anybody has any questions, I'm always here to help. So wishing everybody comfort, hope, and healing. So thank you guys.